What's up, guys? John here. Canada and America have just announced a Renters' Bill of Rights.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made the announcement. The first measure is the creation of a new Canadian Renters' Bill of Rights.
Biden administration is planning to launch what they're calling a Renters' Bill of Rights.
The same exact laws, the same exact policies, verbatim. And it's going to change property rights, not just in Canada and America. The same thing's happening in Scotland.
The Socialist Republic of Scotland. They are about to introduce some of the strictest rent controls.
In a variety of other countries, they're all moving in the same exact direction. So if you're a renter, if you're a property owner, an investor, or you want to be, pay very, very close attention to this, because this is going to be the biggest change in home ownership and property investing we have ever seen. Look at this, 230,000 views. This came out yesterday.
We're going to create a Canadian Renters' Bill of Rights.
Canadian Renters' Bill of Rights. Then look at this.
The White House put out a blueprint for Renters' Bill of Rights.
Right? So the same exact policies, I'm going to show you that. I mean, it's unreal. You couldn't make this up if you wanted to. I'm going to break this down for you. I'm going to show you the facts and show you why I believe this whole scenario is going to be the biggest problem for renters and for property owners that we have ever before seen. Because right now, people are pushed into a hard spot. Looking at cost of food, cost of living, it's extremely expensive. And when people are spending 50, 60% of their monthly income to a landlord, a lot of tenants don't like it, right? And I don't blame them. But when they step forward with this new solution, what's ultimately going to happen is in the beginning, it's likely going to be very, very good. But at the end, these properties are going to be owned by large corporations, large investors. And so if you pivot and navigate this properly, you're going to make out like a bandit if you want to be an investor. And if you don't, you might be a victim to this entire situation. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to give you the facts. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button. People share this content to educate other people about what's going on in the world's economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit, we would love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item in a credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call with us for tomorrow. Take a look at this. Unreal.
Apartment pricing so they can bargain fairly.
They want a history of all the pricing that apartment's ever had. So if in 2018, let's say the apartment was renting for $1,500 and now it's renting for $2,000. Well, they want that tenant to know that, so the tenant can negotiate. The difference, though, is insurance is skyrocketing. Property taxes have increased greatly. Mortgage and borrowing costs have increased greatly. There's a lot of variables moving into why prices have changed. But when you look at this scenario, you'll see that they don't really care. It's not about the property owner. It's actually about just them.
And make sure they have more agency. We're also going to launch a new legal aid fund that will protect tenants against unfairly rising rents, rent evictions, and bad landlords.
Think about this. Imagine you are a landlord and you have a tenant, and that tenant is unable to pay rent for a variety of reasons. Maybe they got sick, maybe they lost their job, maybe food prices have got so out of control that they prioritized eating over feeding the landlord, right? I don't blame them. But what's going to happen? That landlord is going to get access to his own attorney that he's going to have to pay $300-$400 an hour for. And the tenant is going to get one appointed by the state. So you think about this. The tenant is going to have an attorney appointed by the state to go to a courthouse with a judge hired by the state. So who's going to win? Right? Who has that advantage? It's going to be the tenant every single time, right? It's going to be the tenant every single time. So the landlord is going to be swimming in an uphill battle. Now look at what's happening in America. Look at this.
Supposed to be there to help don't always help. And so what we want to be sure of is that people know their rights, know that they have a right to fight evictions, know that they have a right to live in a decent and clean place, know that they have a right to be able to go to court or have representation.
Same policies, right? Absolutely shocking. So in Canada, for example, federal government promises renters Bill of Rights in upcoming budget, right? Came out yesterday. These property owners in Canada, mortgage delinquency rates in Ontario, BC soar as higher payments bite, right? So you're seeing this. You're seeing Marcia Fudge saying this, and she was, before she was the U.S. Housing Secretary. She stepped down this month. But the same exact policies here, clean and fair leases, and I'm going to pull this down so you can see the URL, whitehouse.gov. Clean and fair leases, education, enforcement, enhancement of rights. They have the right to organize. They have eviction prevention, diversion, and relief. Right? Same exact thing. So what's very, very fascinating here is this. 4 weeks ago, Bill would provide struggling tenants more time to pay rent, right? Then, as evictions remain high, Washington approves more funds for tenant attorneys, right? Here's how one woman bounces from house to house without ever paying rent, right? They want these videos out about squatters. They want people to know that they can, squat in homes and they can, manipulate the system so that they can live for free. They want this to get out of control. Philadelphia is experimenting with giving renters cash, right? So you start to see this situation. You're starting to see this level of dependency really start to grow, a way in which people can manipulate the system to take advantage. Rent control is an essential way to keep housing affordable. So this came out, 2 weeks ago, give or take, and it's a piece talking about how we need to, enforce more rent regulation and more rent control on property owners. That this is something that is really needed to be able to offset these high costs. Well, what's very, very fascinating to me is that this came out yesterday as well. So the same exact day that Justin Trudeau came out and said this, March 27th, Scotland comes out and says that, we need to basically ban landlords from increasing rent and put rent caps as low as 0%. So that means any rising cost, anything at all, landlords, they have to eat it. How many landlords can afford to eat it? Especially over the last 3-4 years, landlords and investors and property owners, a lot of them are to the teeth in debt. They didn't anticipate, borrowing costs go from 3% to 7%, insurance, up 30, 40, 50% depending on the market, right? A lot of them did not anticipate this. So to walk into a scenario like what we're walking into is going to be the great rug pull that I've been warning about, that property owners have been set up over the last couple of years, set up for massive failure. And those that are prepared and positioned are going to clean up. So what I believe we're going to walk into is a scenario over the next couple of years going to be all about the tenant, all about helping the tenant. We need to make things more fair and just and combat, the inequities across housing. That's what the conversation is going to be. But it's going to change as these corporations start to buy up more and more and more housing. These institutional players step in by 5, 10, 20, 30,000 houses at a time. When that starts to happen and they have market share, the rules are going to change again. And it's going to be all about the landlord, all about the property owner, all about the investor. And so it's going to be that survive until 25, 26, 27 type of a motto where people are really going to need, if they're an investor now, they're going to really need to have to hold on here. Those that can. And it's not going to be easy. I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. Especially, look at this. The cost is going to continue to get out of control. State Farm, non-renewing 30,000 California homeowner renters, right? 1 week ago. The very next day, they increased from 30,000 to 72,000, meaning that there's going to be less, available options for insurance in California. Supply and demand, they're going to dictate and determine pricing. Prices are going to continue to go up in California, right? So you see this. You see, here, homeowners insurance 2024 possibly pay up to 35% more in Florida, California, and 2 other states, right? Building materials, the cost of construction materials remain 37% higher than pre-pandemic. So when a tenant moves out, something's broken, something's busted, labor costs have increased, material costs have increased, everything is going up, right? So how, if the landlord cannot push these costs along, what's going to happen to this landlord? Well, this is what's going to happen to this landlord. Right now, burritos, right? Burritos, there's a place in California, they're charging $22. In Five Guys, this clip went viral, about a $24, sandwich, right? You have the same thing unfolding here. McDonald's, an $18 Big Mac is going viral. Certain locations are doing that. Wendy's is doing surge pricing. So what's going to happen is this. Right now, property owners, 62% of their entire net worth is inside of the equity of their home, right? 62%. And so that equity is going to slowly start to get picked away as this market starts to change. 70% of all properties right now are held and owned by mom and pop investors. Investors that own 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, the small business owner, right? The small player, the one that, bought a deal back in the 90s hoping this is going to be the retirement plan, right? That is a majority of rental property owners. And so what they are forecasting here is very fascinating. They forecast MetLife Insurance that 40% of all single family homes will be owned by institutional players, right? 40%. And it's not just one, article about this. It's all over. So multi-housing news, right? Yahoo News, your tax dollars are helping Wall Street. Institutional investors may control 40% of the market. Multifamily, 40% of single-family rentals, 2030. MetLife, all mediums saying the same thing. You have, CNBC saying the same thing, that they're going to control 40% of the rental homes. This is what's going to happen. So many people are going to get behind, the conversation that rents are out of control and that there needs to be rent caps. A lot of people are definitely going to get behind this, I can promise you. But as we start to see this money get handed over, we're going to start to see these institutional players step in, and they're going to be the ones that rewrite this landlord-tenant law. That's what's going to happen. So those that want to invest in real estate, those that have ambitious plans, make sure you got great credit, you have cash in the bank, you have really strong income, not $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month. You put yourself on a path to where you're doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a month. You put yourself in a really, really strong position, because the next couple of years, it's going to be the most important. It's going to be the most important in our lifetime. And if you do this and you buy the right deals and you're really strategic with the businesses in which you're in and how you're spending your time and where you're investing, you're going to have a real big leg up. Those that don't, those that think Justin Trudeau is going to step forward and save the day and make everything good, look at the last couple of years. Look at what's happened to Canada. Look at what's happened to America. Look what's happened around the world. Things have only gotten harder. Imagine what's going to happen in the next couple of years with more and more and more regulation. Things are going to get a lot harder. So put yourself in the right position. If you have any credit issues at all, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free strategy session for tomorrow. Catch you next video.